How you doing, folks? It's Gary and this is the Cool Drummer. Welcome back, folks, and welcome back to the dining room. Last two reviews have both been outdoors. I've been off on my travels up round Orkney and Shetland, and then back down through the north of Scotland, Caithness and Ross-shire and things. But we're home, we're in the dining room, and I thought I'd better get a wee review done and get it out there on the channel. First time you've popped onto the channel, folks, and after listening to me rambling away, have a look at some of the other content that's on here. If you can still put up with my voice, please consider hitting subscribe button, giving us a wee thumbs up. That'll help the algorithms that YouTube use to keep the channel moving and grow the channel. If you have any questions, please throw them into the comments. If you've got any requests you want to maybe see different reviews on something else, some different whiskies, something you've heard but you've been a bit apprehensive about trying or something, please drop it into the comments. We'll have a look, and if I can get hold of it, we'll have a wee review of it on here. Okay, what we're going to do today is, for those of you that know what Marmite is, they often say Marmite is a love and a hate, and so this whiskey has a bit of that as well, a bit of a love and a hate, and that is a Jura. The one I've got here in front of me is a Jura 18-year-old. I'll get some of it in the glass, and then we'll have a wee chat about Jura in general. We've looked at them before, but maybe look a little bit more at this dram and some of its not controversy, but why some people are not overly keen on it. So the Jura 18 as a dram, as I said, it's an 18-year-old dram. It has a bourbon cask maturation, American white oak maturation, and then it's finished off in Bordeaux wine barrels to give it a bit of a sort of wine flavouring to it. I tell you what, we'll do the sniffy nosy thing first, and then we'll talk about it as the controversy beside it. The fruitiness of the Bordeaux is coming through, so I'm getting a bit of sort of berries and that red wine influence, a little bit sweet. But at the same time, there's a sort of sweet spice to it, maybe cinnamon, something like that. I'm not going to turn around and say that there's a burn on it, but I'm feeling slightly higher ABV, 44%, so it's, you know, it's higher than 40. It's quite clean on the nose. I almost want to say there's something like a rum or a brandy to it, something heavier than the whiskey. Coffee. Berries are coming through as well, sort of fruity. Cherries, fresh cherries from a tree, dark cherries. Some of the ones you get are quite light, dark cherries on a tree. When you take them straight off a tree, there's almost an acidiness to it as well. I'm saying that acidness slightly on the finish. There is, I kind of want to say acidy, but I want to say citrusy, zesty as well. Maybe a little bit dry on the finish. Okay then, so Jura. Jura, if you're not aware of it, is an island off the west coast of Scotland, very close to the island of Islay. In fact, you can get a short ferry ride from Islay over onto Jura. There's what, 9-10 distilleries on Islay. There's just the one over on Jura, and it is called Jura. It comes under the White and Mackay group, which, if you know your sort of whisky ownership, that is also Dalmore. And if you know about Dalmore, you know there's almost a little bit of a love-hate with them as well. The sort of controversy over the colouring, etc. And the chill filtration sort of side of things of whiskies there. And coming from the same stable, Jura gets that very similar knocking, in that people are not overly keen about the colour of whiskey coming out of Jura, and sort of the I was going to use the word fabrication there, but that's not really the word, is it? Yeah, they can be quite knocking towards the outward appearance of Jura and its makeup. To the extent, I have a friend who just won't go near it. Joel, if you're watching, you know we've often had our discussions about Jura. Joel just will not go near the stuff. When you look over my shoulder, there's Juras on the shelf. I've got a bit of a sort of an emotional attachment to Jura. It's my mum's favourite whisky, so and she quite likes Jura Journey because it's a rather, for want of another term, it's a rather simple dram. So she likes the Jura Journey. The other one I've got there, I think at the moment, is the Loch, which is a travel retail exclusive. I'll maybe look at that one day on the channel. So yeah, Jura takes some knocking because of you know how it's made and how it's presented, and some people don't like that. Yeah, there's somebody else on social media who's sort of words on whiskey I rather respect. I think the way they express themselves about whiskey is really quite good, and I enjoy reading the stuff they do. I think last week they had some Jura. After one dram of it, it had been gifted to them. They honestly poured it down the sink. And that's how much Jura can affect people. It is really, really truthfully one of those whiskies that some people will just look at you as though you're mad if you're drinking it. Then other people will ask you for a dram of it because they really enjoy it. It is so black and white, night and day with Jura, I find. Now, there is some Juras that you'll find from independent bottlers which are different than the actual distillery's own bottlings, and they can taste quite different. But again, I've heard some people saying that they won't even go near them either. So it's a whiskey that I think you have to try to know it yourself. You can't just accept the word of others saying it's terrible. You know, it's like when some people say, I don't like to eat fish. Have you ever eaten fish? No. Well, how do you know you don't like it? Go out there and pick up a bottle of Jura. To be honest, you'll get some of them in the supermarkets that are really quite cheap. But don't take them as being the end all and be all of Jura. There are different versions of Jura. There are rum cask sort of finishes, there are wine cask finishes, there are different wood maturation finishes, there are different ages. There's 10-year-olds, there's 18-year-olds. I had one the other week, I think. Do I still have any of it? I can't see it sitting around, but I think I had a 21-year-old, and there are, what was the one I had? A rye cask finish. So there are different versions out there. It is worth exploring, even if it is for you to decide that you don't like Jura. But please, don't just write something off without even giving it a little sip. Now this one, as I said, this is the 18-year-old. It is not one of the ones you're going to find lying around on supermarket shelves. You'll probably have to go to a spirits retailer, a whiskey retailer, if you want to give this one a try. And it's not at the cheaper side of things either. I think a 700 bottle of this is in the region of 70 British pounds. So whereas it's not massively heavy on the pocket, it's not really edging towards the cheap. if it's something you're going to try and then decide that Jura is not for you. So there are other exhibitions out there, and I'll be honest, I've enjoyed a few Juras. I really quite like the rye cask that I had a couple of weeks ago. I've tried the wine casks and I've tried the rum casks, you know, and I actually quite enjoy a wee dram of Jura sitting down in the evening. For me, I see Jura more as a whisky I don't often have to think about. It's something I can put in a glass and I can sip and I can drink and I can watch something without it taken away from what I'm watching on the TV or what I'm reading, etc. It's just simple whisky. We've all heard the saying, there's no good whisky, there's no bad whisky, there's just some whisky that you engage with more than others. And I think that's very true of Jura. What I'll say to you folks is, if you want to give Jura a try, please give it a try. Don't write it off completely without giving it a wee pour in the glass. Slange, cheers.